Okay, hi everybody. Thank you for joining me live or listening to the recording on YouTube of Zero to Millionaire. So thanks again for being here. So there's a lot more than 7, but I'm going to teach you 7 principles today that I used to become financially free. We have 2 outcomes for our time together. The first one is to share with you those 7 principles I just mentioned that completely changed my financial life. And then secondly, to share with you how I can help you create wealth if you qualify. We'll talk about that at the end, what it means by if you qualify. Now, a lot of times when, myself, Eric Lawfoam, when we do webinars, we're obviously doing it to make money. Today is not a money-making thing for me. Today is to pass on information that's made me wealthy. The more information I give away, it seems like the more I make. So, again, this is just information today. If you're interested in what I do and how I help people create wealth, we can discuss that at the end. You'll have to contact me about it. I'm not going to contact you about it. So you'll find out how that works. So let's talk about me first. Let's get this out of the way. Obviously, my name is Rick Silva. Thanks for getting on again. At one time, I was an engineer with Eastman Kodak. That was in the 90s, and then late 90s, early 2000s, I was a recruiter with Cisco Systems and for some other startups also. Currently the president and founder of B2B Gathering, one of the largest referral group organizations in the country. And I'm also a land banker. About 6 years ago or so, this is May of 2016, 5 or 6 years ago, I created 2 audio courses that I've sold in, I think, 5 countries all over the United States. Got divorced February 12th, 2008, the same time the real estate market was crashing. That hurt. My house went down $300,000 under market. So I did what's called the deed of trust transfer, and I handed my ex-wife the house. And in the dot-com crash of 2000 is when I lost $1.3 million in my Schwab account. So I've been wealthy and been broke. 2008, I had $5,000 to my name, and now, 8 years later, as of last year, could retire. I'm going to work another 10 years, and then my wife and I are going to retire in New Mexico. I'm waiting for my son to turn 20 years old. I've listened to over 8,000, probably closer to 9,000 hours of audio courses. Zig Ziglar, Bob Proctor, Jim Rohn, John Osseroff. You name it, I probably own it. And I've read over 700 books on the topic of leadership, speaking, networking, sales, marketing. So that's the equivalent of probably 4 or 5 or 6 college degrees. So when I graduated from college is when I actually went to school, the school of actually doing it in the real world. So again, in 1998 to 2001, I was a recruiter, multimillionaire, lost it all in the stock market. 2008, I mentioned that. My house went $300,000 on the market. Always pretty good at making money, but turning it into the wealth that I wanted, the wealth that I desired, I couldn't see how to do it because I kept losing in everything I invested in. My wife Marcella joined one of my networking groups about 5 or 5.5 years ago, and she mentioned to me that she helps people invest in land. And my response to that was, well, I'm not wealthy, and land doesn't kick off cash flow. When I was raised, it was houses and stocks. But here's the thing, the oldest investment in the world is land. It's the foundation of almost all investments is land. But we were raised by people, most of the people on here, either the people on here or definitely your parents have pensions. So my dad has about $7,000 or $8,000 a month coming in from his pension. My dad never needed to know how to invest. If all of us had $7,000 or $8,000 guaranteed coming, we wouldn't be investing in 401ks. We wouldn't be doing a lot of the investments we're doing now if we had a guaranteed $7,000 or $8,000 a month coming when we're retired. So a lot of what we all know about investing and creating wealth came from people who have pensions, or they were trained by their broke parents. That's one of the challenges that we have to overcome, is taking advice from people that are wealthy, not taking advice from people just because we respect them and they're our parents or they're our friends. It's got to be a little bit more than that. So what I do is I still teach networking. I run 9 referral groups. I only work about 15 to 20 hours a week. Half my time's on my groups. The other half of my time is meeting with people and talking to them about investing in land, something called land banking. So the 7 principles we're going to talk about today: the ego hat, an investor versus speculator, discussion about leveraging, power partnering, we'll talk about 401ks, we're going to talk about the missing link in investing, and then who do you listen to? Who are your mentors? Let's jump right in. Let me get a sip of water here. So I meet my wife. We go down to Los Angeles, and I meet 2 very, 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 very 20 varies wealthy men that help people invest in land. And one of them looks at me and he goes, I know you're a big deal in the networking world. I know you've shared the stage with Les Brown. I know you've signed autographs, blah, blah, blah. He goes, in your world, that's great. He goes, in our world, it means nothing. He goes, you want to keep doing that, making 80 or 100 grand a year? Cool. He goes, but if you want to become wealthy, when you walk in my office, you need to take the ego hat off and hang it by the door. If you can take the ego hat off, I can make you rich. If you can't take the ego hat off, I cannot make you rich. And I'll give you an example. I might talk about certain ways to invest, or someone else might give you some advice and you go, well, I don't do it that way. Oh, I know all about that. Oh, yeah. Oh, I've heard about that. I know all about that. When you find yourself saying, I know all about it, I know that, yeah, I get it, yeah, but I don't do things that way, that's all ego. So, and there's nothing wrong with ego. I have a huge ego. But I also know one thing about me, that I don't know anything. And that I look for people that know exactly what I want to learn and just learn it from them. So if you can drop your ego and not think you know everything, I can help you to become wealthy. If you don't, I can't. I'm giving you exactly what my mentor gave me, and he still continues to give me to this day. So what we need to do is we need to find mentors. So it doesn't matter the industry. There's a bunch of you on the webinar right now. Every single one of you works with someone in your industry that makes 5, 10, 15, 100 times more than you do. Without question, every single industry has somebody that makes 5, 10, 15, 100 times more than you. Find them. See if they will mentor you. So one of the ways I did it is I found people that I respected, and I just simply asked them. You just simply ask, could I take you to lunch and get your advice? I would do that all the time, and you'd be shocked how many people would be willing to help you if you ask. Most people don't have the guts to ask. Success leaves tracks. So I'll tell you where I got this example. Like walking in the snow, just walk in the same steps and do what others have done, and you will have what they have. So my wife Marcella is from New Mexico. My father-in-law is a very famous hunter. He takes people elk hunting and deer hunting in the mountains of New Mexico. He's 69 years old, and when we walk up a mountain, I cannot keep up. Every year we go there for Christmas. My wife, her brother, and my father-in-law, they're walking looking for a tree to cut down. I lose them. And we're talking about way up in the mountains with the snow, 8,000 feet altitude. I can't keep up. So what I do is I walk where my father-in-law walked, and I walk in his footsteps. And I know if I just follow his tracks, I will find him. It's no different than being successful in life or business. Find people in your industry. Now, I'm not in any of your industry. I can help you with a certain part, with the investing part or the networking part. But you need to find people that are specifically, if you're a realtor, find another realtor. If you're a mortgage lender, a coach, find other mortgage lenders or coaches. You need to have multiple mentors. These are some of my mentors and coaches, Brian Tracy, Bob Proctor, Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn. Just with Brian Tracy and Bob Proctor, I probably have, I don't know, 5,000 or 6,000 hours with those two alone. So I have all those top 4 mentors have nothing to do with what I do, but they're my mentors. And then I have mentors in the exact industry that made me wealthy, which is land banking. So let's talk about the difference between an investor and a speculator. Let's use Warren Buffett's definition, who also, by the way, is one of the largest landholders in the world. An investor buys an asset based on what it will do over time. Never buy anything you can't hold for 10 years. A speculator buys and sells on the movement of the price going up and down. So when we're talking to people about land investing, when their biggest concern is what kind of a deal can I get, we're looking at the wrong thing. We're not looking at what the cost is now. We're looking at what it's going to be over time. People who try to speculate on either flipping homes or they're buying homes hoping that they're going to go up. I know thousands of people that in 2008 when the market crashed and they owned 10 or 15 homes, they were all penniless and they barely had the home they were living in. Buy low, you think you're going to sell high, but it crashes, or you're buying high and you're selling low. All of these things are very risky, and it's called speculation. Can you make money with speculation? Absolutely, but can you lose money with speculation? Oh boy, absolutely. A lot of people trying to play the market. I can't retire, I can't retire. Even the dog's going to have a heart attack. So me personally, I have all of my money in 2 things. One is cash and one is land. I own nothing else. I don't own structures. I own dirt, and I have cash. We'll get into more of that shortly here. So some of these pages are going to have a lot of text on them, and it's going to give you the opportunity to read it later. But when we look at this slide, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but the main difference between speculating and investing, typically high-risk investments, almost akin to gambling, fall under the umbrella of speculation. Okay. And then I'm missing it because I didn't highlight it. Let's just read it. The main difference between speculating and investing is the amount of risk undertaken in the investment. Typically high-risk investments are akin to speculation, whereas lower risk investments based on analysis fall into the category of investing. Investors seek to generate a satisfactory return on their capital by taking on an average or below average amount of risk. On the other hand, speculators are seeking this to make abnormally high returns from bets that can go one way or the other. One of the things that I've noticed with speculators, they want to get rich quick. They think there's a magic pill to getting rich quick, and there simply is not, because the downside risk, and I've been there, multimillionaire 29, bankrupt 30, took me a long time to recover from that. And then my divorce in 2008 completely obliterated. I was able to fix that in 7 years with what I'm doing now. It's very difficult if you don't have mentors to help you get through that. So again, some of this is coming from, I cannot say these people's names. I hesitate telling you even what they do, but these are very wealthy people giving me this advice. Some of this is mine, some of this is theirs. One of the big things is don't over leverage. Okay, my mentors do not believe on loans for anything. Not a business loan, not a car loan, not a home loan. No loans, no credit cards other than when you're traveling. No loans at all. Doing everything with your cash so you owe no one nothing. They don't believe in debt. The reason we have stress is because we have debt. Most complaining, most divorces, most of the things you think about on a daily, minute, hourly basis are how to make more money. Most cancers and illnesses are because people are stressing out over money. If you go back to the root issue of almost everything that goes on in people's lives that has to do with money, whether it be not enough or too much, let me assure you of one thing. Having too much, those problems are much better than the problems of not having enough. I'm living it now. I can assure you having too much or having a lot is better than not having any. There's still stress, but it's different. So I learned this from Brian Tracy. It's called the wedge theory. It's very hard to explain. Sometime I'll create a visual on it. But we have got to find a way to violate Parkinson's law. Now, Parkinson's law, I'm not going to read this top paragraph word for word, but basically what Parkinson's law says is that the task at hand will rise or fall to meet the time allotted. Let me give you an example. So forget about the screen for right now and just listen if you don't mind. Parkinson's law. If I gave you a project and said you have a week to get it done, you'll get it done in 5 days and 7 hours and 59 minutes. You'll get it done right at the end of Friday. If I give you the same project and say, if it's on a Monday and I say, say till you have Tuesday afternoon to do it, you'll get it done. You'll get it done. If I say we're going to leave for vacation on July 6th, you'll be done packing on July 5th. If I say we're going to leave for vacation on Friday, you'll be done packing on Friday. Parkinson's law basically says the time allotted, the project will rise and fall in time to meet the time allotted. Now, another way to look at it is your income and expenses. Let's compare it here. Your expenses will rise to meet income. It always does, because whatever you're making now, you used to make more. I mean, you used to make less. Your bills were lower. And as you get a bonus check, or as you make more money, you get the bigger house, the nicer car, you spend more money, you go out to dinner. As soon as you start making a little bit less, maybe a bonus check, maybe you didn't make as much as you thought, you start eating at home more, maybe you downsize your car, and your expenses go up and down with your income. So here's the thing. That's Parkinson's law. Income expenses rise to meet income. Now the problem is most people, not only do they spend what they make, they spend a little more. So I want you to imagine two lines running left to right. They're running parallel. And the line on the bottom, in fact, if you have a piece of paper, draw two lines going from left to right. The line on the bottom is your expenses. The line on the top is your income. Now draw one straight line going from left to right. And I'll even do it with my mouse here. I'll show you with my mouse. So see my mouse going straight across the screen. Draw a line like that. Now draw one so it makes a triangle like this. Draw a line that goes up like this. That goes up at like a 30-degree angle. So the line on your left going straight across, the one left to right going straight across, that's your expenses. The line going up at a 30-degree angle is now your income. The gap, as we go up here, the gap between the top of the line and all the way down here at the bottom, that's called a wedge. What we have to figure out how to do is make more and spend less. Invest the difference. We got to find a way to make more, spend less, and invest the difference. Now those first two lines you drew from left to right, you probably had like a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch gap, and that gap never grew, which means one thing: you will never retire, ever. That line going straight across, and then we have the one going up at an angle, that gap between the two, that's your money to invest, so someday you can retire. If you cannot find a way to break Parkinson's law, that's one law we have to break. When we're flying in an airplane, we break the law of gravity. If we don't break the law of gravity, we're going to fall and die. In investing and money, if we don't break Parkinson's law and find a gap in between what we make and what we spend, we will never retire. That's just the key. So Brian Tracy talks about, it's called the wedge. You have to drive a wedge between, and it's right here, between your increasing earnings and your lifestyle. Do not let your lifestyle keep pace with your income. Okay, this is huge if you study this. Huge. More advice from lots of my very wealthy mentors. So obviously you must learn to outpace inflation. That's why I invest in land, People invest in CDs. A CD stands for certificate of deposit. Certificate of disappointment, not certificate of deposit. Certificate of disappointment. Do I fall prey to this? Absolutely. All of my money is in cash and in land. The cash makes me feel secure, which is more important to me than losing 5 or 6% on inflation. But I also have 8 parcels of land controlling 1.1 million square feet of highly desirable land in Southern California that multitude of times outpaces inflation. So my money's invested in land and I'm sitting on cash, because when you have cash, it reduces your stress. The less stress you have, the more money you make. Okay, so the ROI on creating audio courses, that's one of the best investments on the planet. Those of you that own my Science of Business Networking, it's a 12-module, 10-hour course on networking that sells for $197. There was a time when I used to give the cases out, and it has 14 CDs in it, and to burn those CDs and put the case together, about $24 per set. I sell it for $197, so 24 goes into $197. Oh, 7.5 or 8 times. So my $24, every time I spent $24, $197 came back. That's 7 times my money. So the return on audio courses is pretty good. Here's where it's better. I put everything on memory stick now, which costs me like $3 a pop. So $3 I go out and 197 comes back. So that's what, 50, 60 times return on my money. Yes, I could put it on the internet. I'm just not that techie of a guy, and I'm not. That's for other people to do. But then there's still costs of the website and the security behind it. So there's still some costs, but the return on creating audio courses and informational products, the ROI, is tremendous. Here's another big one. People say, I invest in gold. I have gold in my portfolio. So this is coming, again, from one of my mentors. This is what he said: own gold, actual gold coins or gold bars. Gold is not a very good investment, but gold attracts more gold. So let's take this. I could spend a day on this. I want to explain to you why gold, most of you that have, if you have gold in your portfolio, you do not own gold. Let me explain. You have a piece of paper that says you own gold. You do not own gold. So gold is an element. Those of you that believe in the law of attraction, gold is a vibrational element. It vibrates. When you have gold, it attracts more. Okay, so when you have it in your stock portfolio or in your 401k, you don't own gold. You just own a commodity. When you have gold rings, gold necklaces, gold coins, gold bars, and you keep them near or around you, they attract more gold. Gold is a vibrational function that attracts more of itself. So it will help you attract more. But owning gold thinking that it's an investment, you are sadly mistaken. Gold is not an investment. I'm going to prove it to you. An investment is something that outpaces inflation, by the way. And gold does not do that. I'm going to prove it. At the time of Jesus, an ounce of gold would buy the following: a nice pair of shoes, a belt, and a beautiful robe. 1 ounce of gold, a nice pair of shoes, a beautiful belt, and a robe. 2016, an ounce of gold will buy a man or a woman a nice pair of shoes, a beautiful belt, and a suit. Think about it. $1,000 suit, $200 pair of shoes, $150 belt, $1,400. I haven't looked. I don't care about gold. I don't know what it costs, but that's probably what it costs an ounce. Gold has never, will never in the history of mankind outpace inflation ever. It is not an investment. But you should own gold because it attracts more. That's the only reason. And not in your portfolio. Go to the store and buy a gold coin and put it in your pocket. All right, whew. I'm very strong with this because my mentor is so against anybody that thinks gold's an investment. It's not. So then you have to ask yourself, why do I want to be wealthy? I want to be wealthy, but why? What are you going to do with the money? Why do you want the wealth? You got to get into having affirmations and goals and figure out, you got to see your future self. If you don't see your future self, you have nothing. It's like I give you a bow and arrow, but you don't know what to aim it at. You got to have something to aim it at. No matter what you invest in, whether it's land or just or stocks or whatever it is, you've got to diversify. So in my eight land parcels, for instance, are all different zonings. I have industrial, I have residential, I have commercial, I have business park. I got all kinds of different zoning. So I'm diversified in my land. However you do it, just diversify. Here's another one. Credit cards paid off at the end of every month. This is what my mentor says. If I can't pay it off at the end of the month, then I wait 7 days to decide if I really need whatever it is that I'm looking at buying. And if I still need it, I'll buy it on my credit card if I have to and pay it off within 8 weeks. Max. This again gets to not using debt, not taking out loans, and living on what you make. More things to think about. Of my income, 1/3 goes to taxes, 1/3 goes to lifestyle, and 1/3 goes to wealth creation. So, Rick, I can't invest 1/3 of what I make. Good. Invest $1. Start somewhere and work your way up. Again, we have got to fight Parkinson's law. We got to figure out how to spend less and make more. Then you'll be able to get up to where it's 1/3. This took me years to get up to 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. It's very difficult. Okay. This is another piece of advice that I was given. This was given before the mortgage industry changed. I know there's no prepayment penalty if you pay your house off sooner, but that's not the point of this. The point of this is get your house paid off as soon as possible because it's debt. So buy a home with a 30-year mortgage, make the highest payments possible. No matter what happens, my house can't be taken away and will not be homeless. I'll never, if I ever needed money, it's sitting there. So you pay your house off, whether it's worth $200,000 depending on where you live or $1.5 million wherever you live. If it's paid off, you have equity sitting there. You could take out an equity line if you ever, God forbid, needed money. It's sitting there. Never concern myself with a tax write-off. This is another one. I'll be here all day. I just had this conversation with a guy yesterday. Rick, why don't you own a home? I rent. Because this is just me personally, we rent. Because the money that I would have to put down on a down payment and the yearly cost of property taxes in California would cost me at least 1, if not 2 land parcels every year. Land is a 50 million trillion times better investment than a home. So I choose to pay rent and put all my money into land. So the guy looks at me yesterday and he goes, well, what about the tax write-off? Well, a tax write-off is going to save you 15, 20, 25% on your little house payment. And by the way, if you buy a house for $600,000, by the time it's paid off, you paid $1 million. But when it's paid off, we don't know if it's going to be worth $1 million or not. So you're already paying double just because you have a loan on it. But having said that, this is what my mentor said about anybody that says, why don't you do this for a tax write-off? Why don't you do that for a tax write-off? He looks at me and he goes, if somebody tells you to spend money for a tax write-off, he goes, just have them call me, have them write me a check for $100,000, and I'll give them $30,000 back. So I want you to think about that. This is from him. Bottom paragraph, never concern myself with a tax write-off for my home or anything else. That's how the poor and middle class were raised. It's not how the rich think. The stress of a house payment is more detrimental to my health than little tax write-off is to the bottom line. So I pay rent because I'm not worried about a tax write-off. My goal is in 10 years when I retire, I'm going to be moving to New Mexico. I'm going to build an estate on 70 acres I'm about to buy. And then I'm going to be retired. I won't have a house payment. I'll have a pond, big house, room for my cigars, all that good stuff. So I'm building an estate in 10 years and retiring. I'm not worried about tax write-offs. Also, yeah, it's on the next slide, so I won't say it. This is what he says. Anybody that ever, under any circumstance, says, do this for a tax write-off, do that for a tax write-off, you'll want to run. They are not wealthy, they're poor, and at the best, mildly middle class. There's not a wealthy human being in the world that works like tax write-offs. You're worried about a tax write-off, you're spending your money in the wrong place. You're blowing money to spend 30%. I'm sorry, you're blowing money to save 30% as opposed to investing all of it to earn much more than that. I'm not going to go any farther than that. It's just anybody that says do this for a tax write-off, you gotta ask yourself, what's this person's net worth? How much do they make? It's a big concern. Don't ever lease a car. This is the one I was about to slip and say, but I knew it was coming up. Don't lease a car because a car is debt. Pay off your car. Pay cash if you can. Pay it off. If you pay your home off and you pay your car off, you have no debt. You're never going to be homeless, and you'll always have a car. The other big stress is when you have a leased car and you drive over the mileage allotted, guess what? You got to pay a penalty per mile that you drove over. I know people that have leased cars and they're parked in the garage because they're freaked out they're going to drive too many miles. They're freaked out they're going to drive too many miles because they're going to pay a penalty. What did I say? Lack of money causes stress. If you own your car, you don't care how many miles you drive it, and then that's one less thing you're stressing about. Have a minimum 12 months cash reserve in the bank. This is from my mentor. If I don't have that much in reserve, I feel more naked than I would if I was naked in the Mojave Desert. When I get a huge commission and or sell one of my land parcels and I pay off my house in 5 years or less if possible. Some of you are saying, but I don't have 12 months put away. Do you have a cable bill? Do you get coffee every day? Do you go on vacations? Maybe stop that for a while and put the money away. Then you would have 12 months put away. You got to make sacrifices. Do you ever want to retire? Because the big thing with having that 12 months put away, it gives you options. You're going to lose your job or you lose one of your big clients. You're not going to be stressing out. See, stress, when you're stressing, especially if you're looking for a job, it's not the best place to be because you're not going to make a decision based on your gut. You're going to make a decision based on the fact that you need money. If you have 12 months 12 months of your bills put away, then you make smarter decisions. You have less stress. And then have a minimum of a $3 million umbrella policy because everyone wants to sue everyone. Remember, feeling comfortable is the goal. Always remember the reason we have stress is because we have debt. These next 4 or 5 slides are about something called power partnering, and if you've been in the networking world, you've heard the term power partnering. I'm one of the not quite godfathers of this term, but I've been teaching this for 14 years, and I've taken it to the instruction of what power partner is to pretty high heights. I created a whole audio course and webinar training program on what's called power partnering. I'll do my best to explain what it is if you haven't heard of it. So if you're self-employed, there's really only a couple ways to build your business. So let's forget the screen for a second. If you're self-employed, you can cold call, which I don't ever use the phone. I'm on the phone maybe 10 minutes, not even that, maybe 5 minutes a week. You can email, or you could get referrals from your past clients and your current clients, or you can do something called power partnering. Now, power partnering, as an example, I'll give you an example of this. If you're a mortgage lender, your power partners are financial planners, CPAs, bankers, and real estate agents. Let's see. I wish I knew what you all did that are on here. Let's say you're a fitness trainer. You help people look good and feel good. Well, who else does that? Hairstylists, dentists, chiropractors, acupuncturists. Those would be your power partners. So what I always teach people is we look at your industry and then we find other people. Look at the bottom paragraph on the screen. We find other people who call on, sell to, and serve the exact same people that we do. We network with them and we exchange referrals. Awesome. So Hope just typed, I sell furniture to commercial businesses and supply. That's easy. That's great. So Hope Logan is now famous. She's going to be mentioned on YouTube forever. sells furniture to commercial businesses. So what we do is we analyze that and we go, okay, sells commercial office furniture. Who else knows about that besides her? It's a long, long list. IT companies, in fact, Grant Stubblefield, who's on this webinar, would probably like to meet you. He owns Neighborhood Computing, if you're writing that down, Hope. You're going to want IT companies because they're involved in moving the computers. You're going to want a commercial moving company. You're going to want space planning, architects, commercial fire alarms, commercial carpeting, commercial real estate agents, just to name a few. If you network with them, you'd have more referrals than you could ever handle. That's called power partnering, okay? So professional networkers never look for clients. They look for people that already have them. That's what power partnering is. If you're looking for clients, I'm going to make this very clear. I know you have other people mentoring you. I'm just telling you. If you are looking for clients, you are doing the wrong job. Should never, under any circumstance, ever look for a client. Find people who already have your client and network with them. Because when you look for a client, you find one. When I look for a power partner, I find 200. It's the same effort. You're looking for a client, you make a sale. I look for a power partner, I make a sale a month for the rest of my life. You did one piece of effort to make one sale. I did one piece of effort to make a sale a month for the rest of my life. It's called power partnering. You have got to learn how to do it. Major advantage of being highly networked is more referrals you have coming to you without effort means you can spend more time on customer service and less time on business development. We want to spend more time serving our clients and less time looking for business. That's the bottom line. So power partnering is the single most important concept you must master in order to build a referral-based practice. If you are using the phone, if you're using websites, if you're using any form of marketing material, this is it. You simply either don't know how to network or you're not doing it properly. It's not good. It's not bad. It just is. I don't use a website. I don't have marketing materials, and I'm never, ever, ever on the phone. I do everything face-to-face. 5,100 one-on-one coffee meetings. I do everything face-to-face. So you have no choice to be good at it, again, unless you enjoy cold calling, or you can afford to pay lots of money on advertising, which I don't believe in. Without going down this road too far, if you are doing power partnering, you try to name 50 to 100 industries. So for Hope, I named like 5 or 6. She should try to come up with 50 to 100 industries. And then when you come up with that list, you should try to meet 3 to 5 a week. I've had 5,100 coffee meetings. My wife's had like 2,700 coffee meetings in 5 years. All right, enough about networking. That's I could go 4 days straight talking on that topic. That's just to give you a little idea. You have got to build a network. All right, let's talk about 401ks. You could never guess what I'm about to show you. So let me just show you. Boom, look at that. Look at that. And look at that. Pretty nice, right? In the Hamptons, look at that. And look at that. Guess who owns those homes? One thing I can assure you, it's not people that have 401ks. It is not people that have 401ks. Those homes are owned by hedge fund managers. Hedge fund managers. Hope's asking me, what about annuities? Hope, that's for you and your financial planner to discuss. I don't want to go down too many of those roads. I want you to think about it for yourself. What do you think about it? Do research on it. Okay. All right. So these homes that you see are owned by hedge fund managers. When you look up the wealthiest people in the world, you're never going to find one that says, hey, Adam owns this house because he put money in a 401k. 401k is one of the worst things you could ever do to invest with, and I'm going to explain why. Because you're being stolen from and because you're being limited by the government. I'll explain. So let's talk about how long it'll take you to become a millionaire. You find your age and go over to the right. If you're 25, you got to put 450 bucks a month away until you're 70 years old. If you're 35, it's 850. If you're 45, it's 1700. If you're 55, it's 4,000 a month. So what that does to get to $1 million, it's going to cost you per month, which affects your current lifestyle. Again, you see where the road is leading. I created my wealth through investing in land because it's called a set and forget. You buy it once and it continues to work for you. So you need to think about this, and that's at 5% every year, and that's if you can get 5% a year. That's how much money you're going to have to put away. They say $1 million isn't enough to retire anymore. In the Bay Area, it's 3.6 million. If you live in the San Francisco Bay Area, the new million is 3.6 million as of about a couple weeks ago. So there used to be the 4% rule. That was before. That was a long time ago, where you take 4% a year out and you'd be able to live. We're living longer, number one. Number two, stuff costs more. So they're saying now it's 1.8%. So you can see it right here as of 2010. I think it's down to 1.6% now. So if you had $500,000 cash, you cannot pull more than $9,000 a year out, or you'll run out of money. Number one, if your goal is $500,000, you need to add a zero. $9,000 a year, not a month. If you have $500,000 put away when you retire, you cannot pull out more than $9,000 a year. Okay, that's $900 a month. My medical insurance is almost that much. So you've got to find a way to have more money put away, or you're going to be in trouble when you retire. There's a lot of wording on these pages. I'm not reading every word, but your employer is, if you're using a 401k through a company, they're making your financial decisions a lot of times without your knowledge or approval. A lot of the people that are managing 401ks have little or no education. They just have a little certification. 90% of the country's employees' 401k plans are watched over by people who need no specific qualifications or investing experience. I didn't make that up. Go look it up. 401k plan managers sign off on pricey funds could cost their workers tens of thousands of dollars over the long haul. Now, the people that manage those funds are the ones who own those homes that I showed you, because they make money on the sell, they make money on the buy. That's where the money's made. The money in stocks is made on the sell and the buy, the commissions. Charles Schwab is wealthy because he owns Schwab, because he makes money when you buy and sell stocks. It's very difficult to get wealthy this way. The impact of 401k's fees, the hidden fees, are colossal. Many fees are not required to be disclosed, and even if they were disclosed, the report's like 37 pages long. Next page, even paying 1%, and I guarantee you're paying more than that, can reduce your nest egg by up to 17%. When you start adding up 17%, it's tremendous over time. The government controls how much you can put in your 401k. It's either $5,000 a month, $5,000 a year, $10,000 a year, $15,000 a year. It depends on how much you make and all that. They're limiting how much you can put away because they don't want you to become wealthy. It would be a great vehicle if you could put any amount you wanted in there per year. They limit it because they want to get your tax money. If you put all your money in there, they wouldn't get your tax money for a long time. They want it now. When somebody else is limiting your returns, it's very hard to get wealthy. I'll say that again. When someone else is limiting your investment and your returns, it's very hard to become wealthy. 80% of 401k participants are unaware of how much they're paying in fees. And fees and fees and fees and fees. Tony Robbins wrote a book on it. You could look it up if you want. Money Mastered the Game. And in there, for 30 years, the industry did not even have to tell investors what they were charging. Hidden fees, hidden fees, hidden fees, hidden fees. Goes on and on about the fees. I'm not going to beat this up over time. But you're being limited to how much you can put in. It's very hard to become wealthy when other people are telling you how much you can put in. Now down here, where it says financial advisors, financial planners, that's another thing you want to be careful of. The average financial advisor in the United States makes $60,000 a year. They make $60,000 a year. And what they're advising you to invest in, do they have the same investments? Are they investing in what they're telling other people to invest in? So your CPA on average makes $60,000 to $80,000 a year, and the average financial planner in the United States made $60,000 to $65,000 a year. We started off this by saying you got to watch who you're taking your advice from. Be very careful who's advising you. Be very careful. It's scary. So let's talk about the missing link in investing. We all know about stocks. We all know about houses. What we don't know about is land, unless some of you are investors with me, and you know I'm a big investor in land. This is what I used to become wealthy. Okay, land is not for people who do not have a long-term perspective, those who think cash flow is going to make them wealthy, or speculators trying to time the market. Who it is for is those who don't like the volatility of the stock market, people that have cash just sitting in the bank losing to inflation and they don't have any investments, those who don't want to be a landlord, business owners who their only investment is their business. I've met so many business owners going, I'm going to sell my business for $1 million and retire. The problem with most businesses is you built it and you love it. It's like your baby. It's not worth anywhere near what you think. I know a lot of people that have businesses they think are going to sell it for $1 million. They're lucky if they're going to get 200 grand for it. Your business is not worth what you think it's worth. Your business is worth what someone is going to pay you for it. And then also another good person who would be good for land, people with cash or old 401ks and IRAs with $30,000 to $2 million, because you actually can take an old investment account, an old IRA, old 401k, you roll it into a self-directed IRA, and the self-directed IRA can own land. I've helped like almost 300 people do that. What's land banking? The practice of buying affordable pre-developed land in the path of growth. This slide and the next slide have made me personally millions of dollars. I'm going to show you how it changed my life. So a lot of you know me as the networker, the guy that teaches networking, do all these seminars, sell all these courses, run all these networking groups. And I still am, except I'm semi-retired from it because of this. So I meet my wife, Marcella. We're together about 6 months, and I don't spend 1 second paying attention to what she's doing until one day she shows me her land holdings, and I almost passed out. Now, I'm 47 now. Marcella's 35. I was 41, and she was, I think, 20, just turning 29. Way wealthier than me at 29. So I'm living with her for 6 months. This slide comes on the screen. I just want you to take a look. All these yellow lines, you're going to see yellow lines going up at angles, different angles. You also see this on and off ramp has yellow lines on it. Google put all of those lines in there. So this is 2002. If you look in the upper right hand corner, it's 2002 in Southern California. Google put all these yellow lines in there. So what we help people do in land banking is we find areas like this where you can see a lot of available land. This on and off ramp is not built yet. All the yellow lines are not even put in yet. Wherever you see yellow lines is where roads are going to go, including this on and off ramp. If you can get there before that, so the company I work with knows all about how to find these areas. If you can get there before the infrastructure is put in this picture, $50,000 to $150,000 per acre. $50,000 to $150,000 per acre. Let's jump ahead 10 years. $2 million to $7 million per acre. $2 million to $7 million per acre. I'm going to back up and say, let's say you owned this corner right here, this corner right here. And let's just say that corner lines up with this corner right here. Let's say you owned that land. This developer wants to build this giant shopping center, business park, and mall, and you own this corner. That developer cannot build that entire center until they get your land. So when land does this, 50 to 150,000 per acre, you wait, and development comes in all around you, and you have the only remaining developable land left, and the developer wants to build a big development like this. That's wealth. That's wealth that cannot be seen or found in any other investment. You're listening to a guy that's done it and that's helped people do it. All right. Be open to opportunities. Always ask yourself, who are you listening to? Are you being coached by somebody who's just selling you stuff and talking, or are they personally wealthy? Are they wealthy? Ask them. Ask them. There's nothing wrong with asking your mentors. You may not ask them exactly, but you got to know that they got to make 5, 10, 15 times more than you. Their net worth has got to be at least 5 times higher. Why would you listen to them if it's not? In America, everybody has a chance to become a millionaire. The problem is most people don't recognize the opportunity. I'm showing you one. It's up to you if you want to take advantage of it. Ask your advisors how much they earn, what their net worth is. What are they truly an expert in? You gotta figure this out. You gotta be careful who you listen to. I can't express it enough. 2 bonuses. Those are the 7 principles. Let's talk about some bonuses here. Just a little additional one. Some of you know the book Think and Grow Rich, and it's a very hard read for me. It's hard to read. The book is called The Wisdom of Success by Andrew Carnegie. And that's if it's on Audible. If you guys have Audible, which is the greatest invention in history of mankind, Audible, get the app on your phone. It's called The Wisdom of Success by Andrew Carnegie, or The Wisdom of Andrew Carnegie. If it's in the book form, you can find that on Amazon. So let me tell you what this is. Think and Grow Rich was written by Napoleon Hill, and they think he's the genius. He's not the genius. All of his information is from Henry Ford and is from Andrew Carnegie. So this on the screen, The Wisdom of Success, or The Wisdom of Andrew Carnegie, is the word for word interview where Napoleon Hill is interviewing Andrew Carnegie. That's the information he takes to write Think and Grow Rich. For me, it's easier to listen to and understand the interview than it is to read Think and Grow Rich. This, to me, is the master text for wealth and success. That's strictly my opinion there. Now you have it. Bonus number 2, I think we've been talking about this enough. My father taught me to work hard. My mentors taught me how to leverage money. Robert Kiyosaki talks about it in Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The biggest challenge we have is most of our parents have pensions and retirement plans. They never had to learn to create wealth. My dad paid $16,000 for his house. That house now, that was 40-something years ago. It's worth $500,000 or $600,000 now. If my dad couldn't buy it now. So everything costs more. We're taking advice from people that lived in a different time than times are now. You got to watch who you're taking advice from. Regarding land banking and what we're looking for as far as people investing in land, people that have said things like, I want to diversify my portfolio. My 401k or IRA only goes up when I put money into it. I need to recoup money I lost in the downturn. My investments are stressing me out. I'm sick of tenants, toilets, termites, and trouble. The stock market's too volatile. I need to do a 1031 exchange. I don't know how I'll ever be able to retire. Oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to be able to retire. So when we talk about the qualifications, and I hope you guys enjoyed the webinar, we talked about the qualifications. If you want to move forward with me and talk to me about potentially taking some of your IRA or 401k money or cash and investing it in land and doing what I've done, and you feel you have the proper mentality, the minimum is $30,000. I can't even get you a parcel of land for less than that. Now, these are not REITs. If you do this with us, you own the land outright. The land parcels cost between $30,000 and $2 million. Anywhere in that range, we could get you a beautiful piece of land. If you want the next steps are my wife does 2 webinars a month, or if you live in the Bay Area, we're more than happy to meet you face to face. Sorry about that. Hey, Grant, it's still doing it. Let's get that out of the way. That's a different upgrade. So Windows tries to take my computer over, obviously. Sorry about that. So if you have $30,000 to $2 million, my wife does 2 webinars a month. If you live in the Bay Area, we're more than happy to meet you face to face. My email's on the screen, rick@dirtisgold.com. You can email me and let me know, and we're more than happy to get you on a webinar. I hope you learned something today. I really appreciate it. I got this done in 58 minutes, which makes me happy. And I'm really happy that you guys took the time to spend some time with me. I hope you learned something. I'll be more than happy to help you any way I can. That's my email address, rick@dirtisgold.com. I'll post this video on YouTube, and I will send you the link in the next couple days. Everyone, thank you very much for getting on, and we'll see you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.